All right, so the first thing to know about HTTP is that it stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And that's a lot of different words that uh, can mean a lot of different things depending on the context. But the main thing to keep in mind is that a protocol is basically an agreed upon set of rules that you and somebody else have for how you're going to do something. So, in terms of computer engineering, when you want two devices to talk to each other or two applications to talk to each other, um, you create what's called a protocol. And it's agreed upon set of rules saying, I'm going to send you data that looks like this. And then when you receive it, you're going to know how to decode this and do something useful with it. So HTTP is just the most ubiquitous protocol that we have on the internet for loading up web pages. Um, it runs over various different lower level protocols such as TCP or UDP more frequently now. But regardless of how it has evolved in terms of the transport mechanism, how it's being sent, how the bytes get from one side to the other, the protocol itself has generally evolved in a way that is independent of how that connection is taking place. And that's why for the first series of videos, what we're going to be doing is just creating the parser um, before we try to actually send any network across the, any data across the network, excuse me. Yeah. So uh, basically for all of this, it's still interesting and useful to keep in mind that when we are any client, so like a web browser, and let's say I want to open up google.com, get, let's say, let's call it HTTP. Let me make that text a little larger. How about, or at least zoom in a bit. Okay, so we're going to say HTTP. So, we're pretending that we're typing this into our web browser. We'll say HTTP colon www.google.com. So, yeah, we're in our browser. Your browser says, hey, go get google.com. And what's going to happen is that I'm going to simplify this, but essentially, through some other mechanisms that we're not talking about right now, your computer finds out how to contact Google's computer, and we send it some bytes. So let's undo that. Let's go ahead and paste this here, and Google server. And the way in which this request is made is a part of the protocol. It's very specific. As a matter of fact, we can even take a look at it. So let's do that. What we can do ourselves here is we can use a utility on the command line. It may be installed on your operating system, or you may have to install it. That's something for you to go Google. But the utility is called netcat, or in some cases, it is shortened down to NC. So I'm on a Mac right now using Bash, and the utility name is NC. I actually can't remember how I installed it, but here we are. What netcat allows you to do is to either connect to a remote system or set up your system so that it could be connected to by some other outside client. What we're going to do is we're going to think like we are a web server, which is an application that responds to these requests and returns some sort of information. So we're going to pretend that we're a web server right now. We're going to say NC, we want to listen, uh, and we're going to listen on port, and a port is just a way of dividing up slots for connecting into a machine so that different applications can listen on different slots, different ports. So we're going to listen on port 8088. Just, for the moment, it's rather arbitrary. So we're going to listen. And then what we can do in our browser is we can actually go HTTP 127.0.0.1. And this is basically saying, hey, I want to talk to our local computer, and we want to connect to port 8088 and ask for some page.html. We're going to request this. And right now we see it looks like nothing's happening. We started a request. But if we go over and check in here, what we can see is we actually got an HTTP request from our browser to this listening network connection. We're not properly handling it, but we are seeing it. We can see some pretty key details here. Number one, we can see that the type of request that's being made is a GET request. The resource that's being asked for, the URI, is this somepage.html, like we were typing in. And here we're saying we are communicating and expecting you to potentially respond using this HTTP version 1.1 protocol. There are other additional header keys and values as a part of this request. So right now, the browser is still waiting for us to give some sort of response. We're going to send a response back. So we're going to go HTTP 1.1, okay, and 200. All right. So we didn't send back. We weren't properly following the protocol. And when you don't do that, things go wrong. So Safari said, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what. Can't open it. Flop out. So that's the importance of a protocol, is that the client and the server, or two different applications, know how to properly send information back and forth. So this is pretty neat. This is one way that you can sort of inspect it and pretend to be a server and see these requests and do a bit of debugging if you want to learn more about the details of how this protocol works and just test it from the command line. The other thing that we can do is, in most browsers, there's some ability to inspect the page, and then it opens up all these consoles and details. For Safari, there's this network, but whether you're using Chrome or Firefox or Brave, they're all about the same, you should be able to find this network tab here, where we can see the traffic that is going back and forth. So what we're going to do is clear this out, and we're going to repeat this request again. So we're going to press enter, and oh, sorry. Of course, it's not going to work. We need to restart this. So we're going to clear, and we're going to start listening again. All right, so once again, let's clear here. Let's come here. We see we're asking 127. We don't really want to do www dot. We're going to do HTTP though. And here, we're going to send that request once more. And then we're going to have it fail. Oh, I guess it's not actually showing it here. I wonder. Hold on. Let's kill this. So let's do HTTP 1.1, 200. Okay. And okay. So at this point, I actually got it in the right order. Last time when I was responding, I used the wrong order. I should have put the response code and then the text first. But what we're going to do is we're going to kill that connection. And hopefully we can see what we got back here, which was, here's the response that we sent back. HTTP 1.1, 200, okay. Let's see, can we get a preview of the outgoing request? Okay, so here was the actual outgoing request that the browser made, and we can compare. So now we see these details here. We can see those same details here. You can see the response that we sent back and the response that we sent back. So that's pretty neat. It's beginning to sort of pull back the curtain and look behind and see what's going on. And this is key for everything that we do. If you want to go deeper, you should hopefully be willing to ask, how does this work? And dig in a little bit deeper to figure out what's going on. My poor teams that I work with, I've frequently said, it's okay to think of something as magical, but you don't want it to be mysterious. You want to know how the magic works so that you can control it and, have full power over it. All right. Starting in the next video, we'll actually start writing some code. Well, we might start writing some code. At the very least, we're going to go gather up our elements that we need to know if we're writing the correct code. All right. See you next time.